Hello chess lovers, welcome to the new video. A few weeks ago I made a couple of videos about learning chess openings, and it looks like I got some karma revenge or something, because in those two videos I told my experience and that I managed to get good positions without thorough opening knowledge, which was true. But last weekend I had my first two league games, and I basically lost both of them in the opening. So it was like I felt like this had something to do with those videos. It was like um, I don't know. It was like getting punished for those claims. It's the first time this happened, um, and I was really shook by it. So my opponents were quite strong, stronger than me, but still, I felt so helpless because of my lack of opening knowledge. So maybe all those things that I have said in those videos are not true. I don't know. I mean, not that I lied, but maybe I was wrong. I don't know. So let's look at the beginning of the first game. So I was black, and my opponent, who is not a FIDE master, but he just needs a few more rating points to get the title. And honestly, I think he's stronger than that. The way he plays, he was a big talent when he was a kid. Then he quit chess, and a few years ago he came back. And ever since he came back, he only plays these leagues every autumn. So just a few games for the club, and he just wins all the games, and not he doesn't win in some unconvincing style. He just crushes everyone, this includes me. So he started with e4. I played c5, and after knight f3 g6, he played d4 cd, and he opted for queen d4. I had these positions several times before, and I had never lost in a tournament game, in a serious game. And even my first ever Open Sicilian was played in this position against the FIDE master some years ago, and I beat him. I remember I told that guy, to that master, uh, this was my first time playing Sicilian, Open Sicilian. And he says, well, you started quite well. I remember that game. And in that game, I also made a mistake in the opening on move 5, because he played after knight f6, he played bishop b5, and the theory goes a6, but I had forgotten. I read about it, but I had forgotten, so I played knight c6, and I quickly got into losing position. But he made some inaccuracies, then my position was just bad. We fought, and he was just slightly better, and then I just outplayed him, and I won that game. But not this time. This time, my opponent chose e5, the main move. I attacked his queen. He evaded the attack, and after knight d5, he played queen e4. And now I know that the main move here is knight b6, but I had several times played the inferior move, knight c7, and I played it with success. But I always felt that I don't really understand this position completely, you know? And that's what happened in this game, because after knight c3, bishop g7, my previous opponents developed the light square, bishop and castle kingside. But once my opponent quickly played bishop f4, I figured, oh my god, he's gonna castle queenside, and then he's just gonna start the attack. And it felt so dangerous, so I was scared to castle, because after long castle, I have hard time developing this bishop, and I don't have any attack or anything. And his next move is h4, to which I probably have to play h5. But it looked so dangerous, but actually this was okay, but I didn't know. He told me later. We had some conversation about the game and he taught me a lot of things. So after bishop f4, I played knight e6. And this is the beginning of my problems, because the idea of this knight being here instead of here in the main line is to support the b5 push. It's often a pawn sacrifice because there are two white pieces attacking, but the b5 square. But that's the idea of putting the knight to c7. But once I play knight e6, it's much harder to do b5. I can do it, but I have to also sacrifice a pawn without exchanging one piece. It's complicated. But the point is, here I already lost the thread a little bit, and then in just a few more moves, I managed to figure out what I need to do to somehow push this pawn later and sacrifice it, but I did it in the wrong order, and I quickly got a terrible position. And believe it or not, on move 20, I resigned. So this is move 9, and just 11 moves later, I had to resign. I was in a completely lost position. I could have resigned even sooner, but maybe move 18. So it was just terrible. Then on the next day, I played a guy who has a FIDE Master title, and I don't know who of these guys is stronger, but they played really, really well. And I had the same issue. I had big trouble in the opening. This time I was white, and I played knight c3. He went e6. I played f4, and he played knight c6. And after knight f3, he played a move that I have never seen before. So it's move 4. It's move 4. And last year, I had two of my opponents. One was a FIDE master, play d5 against me, and after bishop b5, I won really nice games against both the candidate master and the FIDE master last year. So I was really confident that when I was in this position, because I already had experience against stronger players. But once he played queen c7, I was totally confused. I realized that now bishop b5 is not possible because this pawn is hanging, and I thought about sacrificing it, but I don't have enough attack on the f7 square. I cannot do anything there. So I can't sacrifice that pawn like that. And then I thought, alright, so if I want to protect this pawn, I can push this guy, which looks very bad because now, first of all, he can just play d5. And second of all, I give him the squares, all the squares, I don't control them anymore in the center, and that's juicy for his knight. So I thought, okay, that's not good. Then I thought, okay, I can protect the pawn by pushing d3, opening the bishop. But then I figured my bishop will be on some passive square. But this was actually, he told me after the game, this master, he told me that this was sensible, this was the way to go. Or I could protect the pawn with g3 and plan something like this, which is also fine. But I couldn't figure it out. So I played like a patzer. I pushed f5, and now I just gave him this square. Of course, if he takes, then my play becomes justified because I get the d5 square. So I don't need to recapture. I can just play in gambit style and I have good compensation. But the problem is, of course, he didn't take. So he played, I don't remember, what did he play? He played knight f6, yeah. And then later he protected this square. So I had to develop my bishop to c4, and then he put his bishop there. Oh, he didn't castle, sorry. He entered with his knight. So basically, he played on my dark squares. He played on my dark squares, and I lost on move 22. So just 2 moves later than in the first game. So in the first match, my club won despite me losing, because there are 8 boards for each team. But in the second match, we lost thanks to me losing. Had I won the game, we would have drawn. But okay, it's not really expected from me to beat a player this strong, especially by playing terribly. So what was my lesson here? My lesson is that maybe openings are more important than I thought, or if you're gonna do what I do and play them without specific knowledge of many lines, then you need to be very careful. You need to be very careful. And then I remembered that's what I did in the past. I played without. Okay, I know some lines, but I don't. You see here on move 4, I was totally out of the book, and I couldn't solve this position with my thinking, which is a little bit embarrassing. I have to admit that. But the main point is, if you're going to play against decent players and not know specific lines, you have to be very careful, and also maybe make concessions and play some cautious moves. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not informed, but this was terrible. This was terrible. And so it was a combination of lack of opening knowledge and also a lack of playing ability. And my thinking was not good, since because usually even if you get to bad position, you should somehow fight on. You should not lose in 20 moves or 22 moves 2 days in a row. That's just that means that you played some more bad moves after you got, because here black is not winning. He's better, much better, but he's not winning. Same in the other game. My opponent just got to better position, clearly better position, but then in a few moves he got to winning position, thanks to his good play and also thanks to my bad play. So it's a combination. He played very good, both of them did, and I didn't play well. So I don't know what to advise you anymore. I also lost confidence in my repertoire, the openings that I play. So probably in the coming days I will switch to some more quiet openings, just to avoid these positions where the exact knowledge is very important, since I couldn't figure out. I will see. I will decide next time I play, next weekend. But yeah, and also, these two guys, they were really nice. We talked after the game. We couldn't analyze in the playing hall because there is no talking there. So we went out. Both of them were smokers, like I am. So we were smoking cigarettes and discussing the game blindfold. And they taught me a lot. So, for example, the first opponent from this game, he was telling me some lines. If I play this, what could he play and stuff. The amount of knowledge that he has about this position and the position on the previous move and some alternative positions that could have arisen had I played differently or had he played. It's amazing. It's amazing how much the guy knows. And he's an amateur. But he said to me when he was a kid, he studied these all kinds of openings, and he remembers it even now, 20 years later or more. And it's impressive, because this is what I play. This is my repertoire, and I know maybe 20% of what he knows, or even less. It was really, I felt like some lazy guy who doesn't like to study. I don't know. Plus, but his knowledge of openings doesn't hinder his playing abilities, because obviously he studied other areas of the game. Because as I could witness in the follow-up in this game after the opening, he was just playing almost maybe I haven't checked with the engine, but very strong moves. Once he played the move, I could see the power of the move, and yeah, sometimes I thought, oh, it's not so good, but then two moves later, I just figured that move was strong. I didn't really appreciate it. And the next guy as well, he played some really instructive moves. Very, I'm not gonna go through all the moves of both games, but I just wanted to say that I got karma struck because of bragging too much and advocating this no opening study approach, and then I got into two bad positions in two games, in two serious games for my club, and got a disappointing result. Although it was a good lesson, I'm still not going to change my approach, but I'm just going to be less vocal about it. Maybe, I don't know. I still believe that I should not spend too much time, but I just need to be more careful, I guess. I don't know. Um, because just the day before the game, I wanted to check some lines and maybe prepare, but it felt like just memorizing, and it felt like trying to cheat, trying to learn something, and if your opponent doesn't know it, you can catch him off guard. But the point is, you really have to understand the moves. Like in this line, I made some moves that I didn't understand, because that's what I learned many years ago with my limited opening study. So I just memorized them. I kind of understood them, but not completely, since once the position got slightly altered, I lost my way. Yeah, and I couldn't figure out. Yeah. So thank you for watching, and I don't know what to say. Do what you think it is best for you. So maybe my advice was not 100% valid. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm just going to be more cautious when giving advice in the future in any area of the game. So yeah, that's the lesson I learned. Thank you for watching, and see you again. Bye.